My name is Sherry Spark, and I'm the coordinator for the Holocaust Resource Center of the Jewish Federation of the Lehigh Valley. Tonight's pre-recorded Yom Hashoah ceremony has been prepared so that we can all shelter in place safely. I cannot help but think of families, friends, strangers, who during the time of the Shoah, with complete uncertainty at their doorsteps, would also have been sheltering. Our situation today is one of protection, while theirs was of total fear. Ours is mostly with assurances, while theirs was with complete doubt. Ours is to stay safe, while theirs was running from harm. Tonight, we'd prefer to be in the company of community, standing and remembering together. But for their sakes, we will remain apart, still able to recall their holy memories and promise never again. What you will experience this evening are readings from Megillat HaShoah, selections from the 6 chapters of the Shoah Memorial Scroll, penned and edited by the Rabbinical Assembly in 2003. Within some of the chapters, the Hebrew text reflects the deep mourning of our communities, with the added chanting in the mode of lamentations, Echa. Finally, we asked for recorded names of family members who perished in the Holocaust. 6 families will each represent 1 candle that will virtually be lit. At the end of tonight's ceremony, a list of names will scroll. In the book of Proverbs, we read, Ner Adonai Nishmat Adam. The light of Hashem is the soul of humanity. You are welcome and encouraged to light your own memorial candle tonight. And now, Chapter 1. Chapter 1, In the Beginning. So spoke the chronicler. Long is the history of the eternal people, extending for millennia, including good years and bad years, tranquil years and dreadful years. In its own land and in diaspora lands, among the nations, and as a free people, it enjoyed long periods of repose, during which it contributed of its own endowments to fellow mortals, bestowing upon them the Sabbath and faith in one God, the Book of Books, and the teachings of the prophets. At times, however, in darkened and difficult days, it struggled under the burdens imposed by vanquishers and subjugators. It was afflicted, body and soul, by religious wars and persecutions, burnings at the stake, and being crowded into ghettos, blood libels and pogroms, expulsions and exiles, degradation and derision. The people had neither serenity nor tranquility, and the monster of Jew hatred again and again threatened to swallow it whole, rose up against it in every generation, attempting to destroy it.
הרבה כבר ראיתי, והרבה עוד אראה. אך מה שנגלה לעיניי שם, לא אוכל לשוב ולראות. כל המילים שנבראו ושיבראו בכל השפות כולן, לא יצליחו לתאר ולו מעט ממה שנגלה לעיניי, ואף זאת אדע לא אוכל לשכוח, ולא יהיה בי הכוח להבין.
So much have I seen, and so much have I yet to see. But what was revealed to me, there I never could see again. All of the words in the world, created and yet to be created, in every single language, will never be able to describe even a small part of what was displayed before my eyes. And this too do I know. Never will I be able to forget, and never will I have the power to understand.
My name is Stuart Crowitz. My parents, Saul and Helen Crowitz, were survivors of the Holocaust atrocity. Together, they lost the following. My father lost his grandfather, Yankel Shushkus, his brother, Meyer Kravik, his other brother, Vasket Kravik, and his other brother, Shula Kravik, and his sister, Gittel Kravik. My mother lost her father, Chaim Ternovsky, amongst many other aunts, uncles, and cousins.
Chapter 2. The earth is filled with chaos and confusion. From the Journal of a Journey to Another World. I was part of a small delegation of journalists that stole into the ghettos in order to see what was happening behind the walls. I stayed there for 8 hours, during which I aged 10 years. As we entered, a cart was coming toward us, pushed and pulled by 3 men. Bloated corpses were heaped upon it, their heads bouncing to a rhythm determined by muddy ruts in the road, as if they were greeting us. Thus, for the first time, we met death's partner, famine. It was impossible not to feel its presence in every corner, and it was the force endlessly propelling streams of weakened people through the streets, their faces filled with despair. We met with members of the Judenrat, community leaders, those unfortunates into whose hands were entrusted the lives of their brothers and sisters without the power to save them. Once again, they were forced to organize people for a transport. With shoving and shouting, mothers and children were forced, along with the elderly holding their canes, the ailing and crippled, and the feeble, into the cavernous maws of the trucks, all their eyes filled with nightmarish terror. On their way to the nearby train depot, and the painful, certain knowledge that tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, this scene would be repeated until the ghetto's last breath. And if I were to tell, would they listen? And if they were to listen, would they believe? And if they were to believe, would they not attempt to explain, to cleanse their consciences? And if they were to ask me why all of this befell the Jews, how would I answer?
Viga Stern, born in 1902 in Poland, Czechoslovakia, died May 1944 in Auschwitz. Jacob Stern, born in 1897 in Poland, Czechoslovakia, died in May 1945 in Auschwitz. Leah Fried, born in 1900 in Mukachevo, Czechoslovakia, died in May 1944 in Birkenau. Pinchas Fried, born in April 1900 in Mukachevo, Czechoslovakia, died in May 1944 in Birkenau. Natan Fried, born in January 1932 in Mukachevo, Czechoslovakia, died May 1944 in Birkenau. Herschel Fried, born in May 1934 in Mukachevo, Czechoslovakia, died May 1944 1944 in Birkenau.
Chapter 3. The Darkness Spreads Over All. Written upon a scrap of paper found between two beds. Gertrude is my name. There were many Gertrudes in our town, but in this long, cold barracks, there is no Gertrude but me. There is an Anushka from the Ukraine, and Gittel from Poland, Helen from Germany, and Grazia from Greece, and a continuing long list of those who were once women. The present fills all of our existence. About the future, no one speaks, and with difficulty I remember the past. Oh, how short-sighted and innocent we were! We rejected advice to abandon the homeland, to emigrate. We hid ourselves from no Jews allowed. With all our might, we wanted to believe that if only we would humble ourselves a short while, the storm would pass and be no more. It was on a Friday night. The door was suddenly broken down, and they entered, black uniforms and shining boots. "Where you are going is safe and sheltered," they said. "Hurry, hurry!" Our hair was shaved when they brought us into the barracks, and in place of a six-pointed yellow star, they burned a blue number into our arms. At first I still asked, why? Why me? Why us? Why now? But I stopped asking. The question is more painful when there is no answer. I am writing all of this on scraps of paper, and if a human being should ever find them, perhaps he will have the strength to ask for a reason why there was no.
Maria Goldstein,
Shandel Goldstein,
Moshe Goldstein,
Chapter 4. Confronting the Abyss. The last words of Yaakov David ben Yoel Tzvi Halevi. 4 times I was born, and once already I have died. My first birth was accompanied by the joyful voices of my parents and my 8 brothers and sisters when I came into the world. With the help of God, may He be blessed. I was born 3 other times over the past 10 years, during which time I also died once. After that death, no death could ever frighten me. The second time I was born, on the night of selection, when they gathered us males in town to the central square. At once I realized that the strong and sturdy were being sent to one side and the young and aged to the other. Swelling my chest, I walked on my toes as I passed by. I was sent with the sturdy. Later we heard shots, and I knew my life had been given as a gift. Blessed be His name. The third time I was born, when 1,000 of us were taken to walk in front of soldiers in the battlefield. Each and every day our number diminished as comrades ripped apart were left as food for the birds of the heavens and the beasts of the field. 78 of us survived the march. I felt our lives begin anew when we finally reached the barn where we received our daily portion of thin soup. The 4th time I was born, later that night. I had left the barn for the yard behind it. I managed to catch sight of a spark from a match and the sickening smile of the one who lit it. The living wall had fulfilled its mission and was no longer needed. The barn went up in flames. and my comrades soaring heavenwards, a sacrificial offering ascending to God. May he be blessed. I have died once already, captured by the locals and forced into a boxcar to a place where work makes free. The smell of flesh on fire confused the senses. I was removed from the line at the last moment, hearing the mingling of feeble cries, Shema Yisrael and Mamala. When I die again, tear not your garments, mourn not, for there is no death after death. What I have accomplished for myself, let others not try to accomplish on my behalf.
Zalman Mendel Muscat, Cyril, Avram, and Chaim, born and died in Cherkasshina, Belarus. Tishel, Shlomo, and Meyer Grossfeld, born and died in Warsaw, Poland.
Chapter 5. A heavenly voice, hovering, cries out. A heavenly voice cries out, for these do I weep. For Gertrude's parents who were torn away from each other, for these do I weep. For members of the Judenrat who were asked to fulfill a task no human being could fulfill, for these do I weep. For Yaakov David ben Yoel Tzvi Alevi, who died twice and was born 4 times, for these do I weep. For these do I weep, and for the millions crowded in ghettos and in detention camps, wandering in forests, hidden in attics and underground bunkers, for those who found refuge in the bosom of another faith, for those who lost their God, for those who were given over to experiments, for those who died of hunger and of thirst, smothered in freight trains or in gas chambers, shot, buried alive, or cremated, for those who sanctified God's name, for those who refused to be subdued, fighting to the death, for those who left alive were left to live with horror anew, day after day, moment after moment. For all these do I weep. How I want to understand. Was all of this known on high? Was this the decree of God who is filled with compassion? Was this the reward? But there was no sound and no response. The Most High abides in secret. God dwells in the shadow of silence. Deep, hidden, and awesome are the events. No one understands them, not even the echoes of the heavenly voice.
I remember members of my family on Yom Hashoah. I am struck by the similarity of the terrible death toll today by our vicious enemy. Today, the enemy is the virus COVID-19. In the 1930s to mid-1940s, it was an evil called Nazism. COVID-19 does not discriminate, and the pandemic is causing thousands of deaths worldwide. In the period of 1930s to 1945, Nazism did discriminate against Jews primarily, also many other groups, gypsies, Catholics, socialists, labor unionists, people with health problems, and more. Today, I wish to remember members of the Wilner family, my father's family, who perished in the Shoah. People I only recently came across in Shoah records. Some of these are people from the Wilners from Dormagen, Rhineland, Germany, nieces and nephews of my grandfather, Alfred Wilner, Joseph Wilner, Eva Edith Wilner, Judy Wilner, Philip Wilner and his wife Chaya Rivka Adler Wilner, Philip Wilner's wife Erna Philip Wilner. And I want to and another one is Bertha Wilner, who died in 1943 of natural causes, but her 3 children died in Sobibor. Samuel de Winter, Amalia de Winter died in Auschwitz, Philip de Winter died in Sobibor. And my father's older brother, Ludwig Wilner, lost his whole family. And I'd like to read a letter that he sent to the Lord Mayor of Fürth, which is a city adjoining Nuremberg, Germany. He wrote, I, the undersigned former secretary of the Israelite community in Fürth, Ludwig L. Wilner, formerly residing at Caroline Straße in Fürth, lately at Hochschule Promenade 2 in Fürth, request delivery of death certificates for my wife Lily Wilner, née Flamme, born the 6th of July, 1908, my daughter Margot Wilner, born the 30th of September, 1933, my son Alfred Wilner, born the 8th of May, 1935, my daughter Judith Wilner, born the 2nd of January, 1939. I declare under oath on the 27th of November, 1941, I and the 4 above numbered members of my family, along with thousands of Jews from Nuremberg, Fürth, Bamberg, and Würzburg, were brought to the SS camp of Nuremberg-Langwasser. From there, we were deported to Riga in Latvia on the 29th of November, 1941. Our transport arrived there on the 2nd of December at the Riga Skirotavac station, where we embarked and were taken to Jungfernhof camp, 3 kilometers away. In the ensuing weeks, arriving trains from Württemberg, Hamburg, and Vienna increased the number of the camp to 5,000, men, women, and children. Pursuant to a roll call by officers of the SS and the SD on the 26th of March, 1942, the by now reduced number of prisoners of 2,500 was to be further trimmed to 450. Those staying behind were both male and female and were to form a work group. All others would be taken to a camp 40 to 50 kilometers away called Dünnemünde. Suddenly, a truck column appeared and picked up these men, women, and children with the supposed destination of Dünnemünde. Because the trucks could only hold 1/3 of the people at a time, 3 trips would have to be made. It soon became apparent that the transports reappeared after only about 35 to 40 minutes, although it took cars at least 3 hours to make the 40-kilometer round trip to Dünnemünde due to poor roads and snowdrifts, etc. There was plenty of reason to doubt the true intention of the SS officers' directive at this point. Because the travelers were not allowed to take any belongings, men and women were even relieved of their coats and shoes upon boarding. Our justified anguish for knowledge about the fate of our loved ones made us search for any clues to shed light into the dark mystery of this event. To this end, we were unsuccessful, however, since our confinement at Jungfernhof was isolated from the outside world. It wasn't until months later, when a work detail from our camp was sent to the nearby station of Skira Tova that we learned anything of the Dünemünde episode. After that, the cars of the station employees and civilians that were observed on that day were not leaving in the direction of Dünemünde, rather were diverted in the opposite direction towards Salaspils and a short distance from the Skira Tova station, taking a left off the main road leading to the so-called upper woods. Several days prior, mass graves had been excavated in this area, which after the 26th of March, 1942, were covered over and camouflaged with tree plantings. Later, there were individual SS and SD members that told us of the terrible events of the 26th of March, 1942. These men drove the cars of the truck column and reported that all the people, without exception, were shot and deposited in the prepared mass graves. My spouse and my two daughters had been separated out into the Dünemünde transport group. My son Alfred had already perished on the 28th of 1942, the 28th of February 1942, due to malnutrition at the Jungfernhof camp. Upon the emancipation of the concentration camps at Riga, Kaiserwald, Stutthof, and Buchenwald, I was freed by the arrival of the American Army on the 18th of April, 1945. There can be no doubt regarding the death of the whole group of people included in the Dünemünde transport, an event that is documented in the current war crimes trial in Nuremberg. So he mentioned his wife, Lily, and his three children, Margot, Alfred, and Judith Wilner, and I remember them. Thank you. Is that
Here in Israel, Yom Hashoah, Holocaust Day, is as solemn a day as Yom Kippur. The streets are deserted, the shops are closed. What music is heard is sacred. The country comes to a halt, and people gather to mark the day with ceremony and with remembrance. The whole nation goes into mourning. This year is different. Most of us must mourn alone. However, that must not diminish the gravity of the day. For me, who escaped the Holocaust, the last 80 years have been on bestowed time, time that 6 million others were robbed of. All of us must honor those innocent, deprived souls. After a lecture some time ago, a young man asked me, will the Holocaust ever end? Well, I answered, yes, it may. The Holocaust will end on the day when we will forget to remember, when the world no longer recalls the horrors that had befallen our brethren. Could that ever happen? Well, yes, it certainly can. There's certainly sufficient forces around who insist that the Holocaust never happened, that it's all a story made up to trick the world into creating Israel, that the number killed was a fraction of the 6 million, and other similar theories and stories. Then there are others who say, enough already. We've heard all about this long enough. Forget it, let's move on. But then there are the voices who say, these were our fathers, these were our mothers, our grandparents, uncles, aunts that died. This was our heritage, our history that was attacked. This was our legacy that was destroyed. How can we ever forget to honor those losses? Rabbi Singer is holding a Torah that is now 250 years old. that once served the Jewish community of Boskovice in the Czech Republic. It comes from a town that for centuries served as the hometown of the Tico family. My father, my grandfather, perhaps my great-grandfather, may have read from this very Torah scroll. Like most of the Jewish communities in the Czech Republic, Boskovice was destroyed during World War II. But this Torah, that is now on permanent loan at Congregation Brit Shalom, survived. As long as this sacred scroll, along with the other 1,563 Torah scrolls that miraculously survived the Holocaust, are honored and cared for, the memory of the Holocaust will survive.
El Male Rachamim for Yom Hashoah. El Male Rachamim Shochein B'meromim Hamtzei Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei HaShechina B'malot kedoshim utorim Ki zohar harakia masirim El lenishmot kol hacheinu b'nei Yisrael Shenitbechu v'ashoah Anashim, nashim v'taf Shenechnechu v'shenisrefu V'shenehergu shemasru et nafsham al kiddush Hashem Began Eden tehei menuchatam Ana balarachamim Hastirem beseter kenafecha leolamim Utzror bitzror hachayim et nishmotehem Adonai hu nachalatam Ve'anuach v'shalom al mishkavotehem v'nomar Amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the souls of all our brethren who perished in the Shoah, men, women, and children of the house of Israel, who were slaughtered and suffocated and burned to ashes. May their memory endure and inspire deeds of charity and goodness in our lives. May their souls thus be bound up in the eternal bond of life, and may they rest in peace. And let us all say, Amen.
And so comes to an end Megillat HaShoah. Many are the paths and many of the ways are the ways that have brought us here. And many are the paths that call to us going forward. From the hiding places of memory, from the basements and the synagogues that we will yet come to. We are a community of questions, a community searching for answers. Yamim yagidu, ma lamadnu, rak hazman yigale, im hikshavnu be'emet, lekolo shel dam hanirtzachim, hatzoek alenu, min ha'adama. Al titablu yoter midai, ach al tishka'u b'shicha shel adishut, al tanichu limei hachoshech sheyashvuhu. B'chu, gamechu et hadima, al timchalu, al tishlachu, al tnasu lehavin. Limdu lechayot lelo ma'aneh, b'damenu chayu. Time will tell what we have learned. Only time will reveal whether we have truly listened to the voice of the blood of the slaughtered crying out from the earth. And so, do not mourn too much, but do not sink into the forgetfulness of apathy. Do not allow the days of darkness to return. Weep, but wipe the tears away. Do not absolve and do not exonerate. Do not attempt to understand, but learn to live without an answer. Learn to live without an answer. And then we are commanded, through our blood, say the 6 million, through our blood, live. Those whom we remember today on Yom Hashoah, we know that they lived with faith, certainly not all, but surely many. And surely many died with faith in God, in life, in goodness that even the flames cannot destroy. May we, in this day, in these days of trial, find our way to the strength of that faith, that trust, that sure sense that life and soul endure beyond this body's death. They have left their lives to us. Let a million prayers arise wherever Jews worship. Let a million candles glow against the darkness of these unfinished lives. If it is your custom to rise for Kaddish, Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, Bialma divarach chiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayerechol beit Yisrael, ba'agalav v'zman kariv, v'imru, Amen. Yahei shemei Rabbah mevarach, v'yalamul al mei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal, Shemeh de Kudesha Berichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata v'tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiran bi'alma v'imru. Amen. Yahei shalom rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. May the memory of the righteous inspire us to blessing. Amen.
At this solemn moment in time, we have paused to think about and to remember great-grandparents, grandparents, parents, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, friends who perished during the Shoah. May their memory be for a blessing. At this moment, when we ourselves are in social isolation, our sensitivities and emotions are heightened. The pain even more magnified of this intensive and extreme loss. As a child, as I listened to the stories told to me by my parents of family members who perished, they spoke of their humanity, of the dreams that they had had for their own lives, all diminished by this greatest inhumanity of man towards man. What is the lesson we can learn? At Passover time, we are reminded that we ourselves were once slaves in Egypt.
and it is therefore incumbent upon us to think with kindness, to think with caring, to think with righteousness of others. How even as well magnified is this lessons of the Shoah. The memory of these lost souls should encourage each and every one of us to live lives of righteousness, of justice, and mercy, as they would have done. The ultimate lesson is that we are never, ever to forget. May our lives continue to go from strength to strength. May God watch over us, and may God watch over the Jewish people. Always, always say never again to injustice, to unfairness, to the depth of despair. Instead, may we be encouraged to have hope in the future.
Kolot balevav pedima, nefesh Yehudi homia, ufate mizrach kadima, ayin litzion tzofia. O Lord, tikvatenu, har tikva shenot alpayim, liyotam chavshi bi'artzenu, bi'eretz Zion, Yerushalayim. Liyotam chavshi bi'artzenu, bi'eretz Zion, Yerushalayim. Anima